Fannie Mae, FNMA, organization to create a secondary mortgage market. The Federal National Mortgage Association, or Fannie Mae, is a government-sponsored enterprise, GSE. A GSE is a congressionally chartered shareholder-owned corporation. Fannie Mae's mission is to create and maintain a secondary market for mortgages. The reason this is important is that if a loan originator gives a loan to you or I, that originator can turn around and sell the loan for a small amount of profit through the secondary market that Fannie Mae manages. This allows the originator to lend again and again and again, and allows investors to make a small profit from investing in mortgages or mortgage-backed securities. The end result is lots of buying and selling of real estate and a massive engine of our economy, ultimately improving the lives and wealth of hundreds of millions of American citizens. (1031) Exchange. Deferring tax by buying another property within a time limit. A 1031 exchange is a government-endorsed loophole which allows a seller of a property to put her profits back into another property without having to pay taxes on the gain of the first property. In other words, one of the advantages of owning property is that any gains are sheltered from taxes until the property is sold. Once the property is sold, the government wants their take in the form of taxes on the gain. The 1031 exchange allows reinvestment within a certain time frame to avoid paying taxes. A 1031 exchange is deferring tax by buying another property within a time limit. Acceleration clause. Conditions under which the entire balance of a loan is due. An acceleration clause is a clause within a loan contract that says that the lender can call the loan for stated reasons. The classic example is a transferring of the property to another owner. So an owner has a loan on his property. The owner sells the property to another without telling the lender. The lender exercises the acceleration clause to say that the entire balance of the loan is due. If it is not paid off, the lender has the right to take the property from the new owner, even if the new owner didn't know about the loan. This is what title insurance is for, to make sure that there are no outstanding claims on the property. An acceleration clause allows a lender to speed up the loan to being due immediately. Synonyms: due on sale clause, alienation clause. Consumer Price Index, CPI. Measure of average prices paid of common items. The Consumer Price Index is a measure of the average prices paid by consumers of common items. A survey of 7,000 families who keep a 2-week diary of items purchased generates the data. Items surveyed are from over 200 categories in 8 major groups: food and beverages, housing, apparel, transportation, medical care, recreation, education and communication, and other goods and services. The Consumer Price Index is a measure of the average prices paid by consumers of common items. Related words: cost of living index. Agreement. Promise or an exchange of promises. An agreement is a contract. Agreements and contracts are necessary because people have such a hard time understanding what is being agreed to. The rules of contracts are for the purpose of clarifying the agreement. Express agreements are written or spoken. Implied agreements are implied by actions or conduct. Bilateral contracts are a promise for a promise, and unilateral contracts are one way, simply a promise. Executory contracts are contracts in process, not complete yet. And executed contracts are either signed contracts or completed contracts. Void contracts are not legally enforceable, and voidable contracts are able to be made void by one or both parties but remain in force until voided. Ratified means signed after the fact. Mutual consent, or a meeting of the minds, means no one is forced and there is agreement. Consideration is the thing of value offered. The statute of frauds requires contracts for real estate to be in writing. An agreement is a legally enforceable contract between two competent parties. Synonyms: contract. Related words: express, implied, bilateral, unilateral, void, voidable, ratified, meeting of the minds, mutual consent. Appraisal process. State the problem, gather data, appraisal method. Report. There is an established process to appraisals. Step 1 is stating the problem and establishing a purpose for the appraisal. Step 2 is gathering data. Step 3 is deciding on the appraisal method. Sales comparison method, or comps, is the most common in residential real estate. Cost approach or revenue approach. Step 4 is to reconcile different methods used, and Step 5 is to produce the appraisal report. The industry has become very regimented to maintain integrity and consistency. American Land Title Association, ALTA. Extended Title Insurance Policy. There are two types of title insurance policies. There is the California Land Title Association, CLTA, standard policy, and there is the American Land Title Association, ALTA, extended coverage policy. The standard policy insures matters of record, forgery, impersonation, non-legal competent party, non-intent to convey title, losses due to federal estate tax lien, and expenses incurred in defending a title. The standard policy does not insure hidden title defects, unrecorded easements and liens, unrecorded rights or claims of persons in physical possession of the land, unrecorded rights or claims not discoverable by physical inspection, mining claims, reservations in patents or water rights, and zoning ordinances. The extended policy covers additional items including unrecorded rights or claims of persons in physical possession of the land, reservations in patents, and unmarketability of title. Synonyms: extended coverage policy. Antonyms: standard policy. Related words: title insurance. Property description. Address of a property or legal description. A property description can be a simple description or even a property address. Since a vague property description can cause problems when buying or selling a property, we have more complete descriptions, which we call legal descriptions. Legal property descriptions include methods like meets and bounds. Meets and bounds is a survey method of exactly describing the location and size of the property. Most titles will prefer the more exact property descriptions. Trust deed, TD. Loan to buy property, voluntary lien. Trustee holds title. A trust deed or deed of trust, they are the same thing, is a voluntary lien on a property that is used to hypothecate a property. Hypothecate means the property is collateral for the loan, but the borrower gets to live in the home. The lender does not hold it for security. A trust deed involves three parties: the lender, also called the beneficiary, the borrower, and the trustee, who is a neutral third party. The trust deed conveys bare legal title to the trustee and equitable title to the borrower. Equitable title allows the owner to use the property normally. In the event of default, the trustee forecloses on the property. A trust deed allows a quicker trustee foreclosure instead of a judicial foreclosure, which is required by a mortgage. When the loan is paid, the trustee conveys bare legal title to the borrower through a reconveyance deed. Note that a trust deed is the same thing as a deed of trust. Be careful not to confuse a trust deed with a grant deed. A grant deed is a conveyance with warranties. A trust deed is a voluntary lien, loan to buy the property, by giving bare legal title to an unbiased third party, the trustee. Synonyms: deed of trust. Related words: mortgage, voluntary lien, trustee, bare legal title, naked title.